Hi everybody, welcome to Flosstube number 32. I have a fun finish that I want to share with you today. And I also just want to let you know I'm heading out to Salt Lake, going to Shepherd's Bush Retreat. I know it's had to be postponed a little bit because of COVID, but I am so excited to get out there and see several people that I usually meet up with out there and just have a good time with fellow Stitchers. So if you're going to Shepherd's Bush, please be sure and look me up. I'd love to say hi and visit with you in person. So that's the best part about retreats, isn't it? Getting to see other Stitchers in person and just have a chance to share our joint love of stitching. So I am looking forward to, well, cooler temps for sure. We are finally feeling a little bit like fall here in Arkansas, but it needs to cool on down a little bit more. And I have a feeling in Park City it's going to be much cooler. So I'm really looking forward to that. So anyway, that's my biggest news. I'm leaving today, this afternoon, and I'm going to take a few days just to look around and do some things and hang out with some friends and have a good time before the retreat starts. But I will give you an update on it in my next Flosstube when I get home. Let's see, other news. I have, and it kind of goes along with traveling to Shepherd's Bush. I had a couple people send me a message and ask me about what exactly is the traveling violets. So I'm going to show them to you and tell you a little bit about them because they're going with me. Of course, you know, my company name is Violets and Verses. Violets, kind of in honor of my grandmother, Leela May, who loved African violets. That's just one of my favorite memories of her, is seeing her violets in her kitchen. She always found a spot to have a little pot of African violets. And so that's just a special memory for me. And that's my way of honoring her. And so Cheryl Howard, who has an Etsy shop called Stitching Frills, and do go check it out. Cheryl does an amazing job with her finishing and putting things together, and she's just got some lovely items. So do go and check out her Etsy shop. But she made this little pincushion for me, and it's a little pot of African violets. And it's just the right size to take with me. It doesn't take up too much space. And so whenever I go on a trip, I usually try and post pictures each day, kind of some things I've seen or what I've done that day. And a few of them, not all of them, a few of them, I may have hid the violets somewhere in the photo. So comment if you see the violets under my picture, and you'll find that on my Facebook page. So just if you're not a member of Violets and Verses, go over to Facebook and join it, and you'll get to follow along with the Traveling Violets. And so what I'm going to do when I get back from my trip, I will have a little goodie basket to give away as a prize for my Flosstube, but I'll have another goodie basket for the Traveling Violets. And I'll draw a name from everybody who comments, and maybe you'll be the lucky winner and get the Traveling Violet goodie. So anyway, it's just kind of fun. Something to where I can show you what I'm doing and you can look for the violets at the same time. So I hope that answers your questions about the Traveling Violets. And I'm so appreciative to Cheryl for this sweet little gift. And be watching for them. They're going with me. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, my website is up. So thank you. I just want to say thank you to everybody that's gone over and checked it out. It's just violetsverses.com, and that will take you to it. So I have 10 reproduction samplers right now posted, and they're available as a PDF. You can download them immediately. And I just hope that you will enjoy stitching these samplers as much as I did. It's just lots of fun. To me, it connects me to the Stitchers from our past. And even though we've never met them, we can just still kind of feel that bond of sisterhood with our stitching. So go check it out if you haven't yet. Now, let me show you my finish. This particular finish is for a Zoom retreat that I'm going to be doing in February. It will be February the 3rd, that Friday night. We'll have a couple hours just kind of to get to know each other and just work out any little kinks that we may have. Then the following day is Saturday, February the 4th, and it will be all day. It will be from 8 to 4. And I have a couple guest speakers that are going to talk about sewing notions. And I have some antique sewing notions that I'm going to share and talk about as well. And then I have a class project. We'll have door prizes every hour. We'll have just some tutorials and to make it take it. So we have lots and lots of fun planned, and I'd love for you to join us if you would like to. You can find all the information on my Facebook page. If you're not on Facebook and you would like to get the information, if you will send me a message, you can message me on Messenger. You can send me an email. I'll have the email address posted below, and I'll be happy to forward that information to you. But let me show you the project. This is a design that I did, and it's just kind of along the theme of sewing tomatoes. And if you haven't noticed, I have a lamp back here that I have some of my sewing tomatoes in. I have some jars and other places in my sewing room that I have sewing tomatoes in. And it's always fun when I go to an antique shop or somewhere, flea market, I have to look for sewing tomatoes. But I'm kind of picky. I really like them old. I don't want a brand new sewing tomato so much. I have a purple one though. A sweet friend Cheryl gifted me because she knows that goes with the violets and verses. I love that one. I have it over by my grandmother's picture in my sewing room, so that one's very special to me. But it's just kind of like a treasure hunt to see if I can find an old sewing tomato. So that's lots of fun to look for. And so the theme of our retreat, the title is I love stitching from my head and then to my toes, but it's spelled tomatoes. So just kind of a fun theme to do. So anyway, let me show you. So this little girl says, or this woman says, Mary, Mary, quite creative. It's kind of going along with the theme, Mary, Mary, quite contrary. How does your garden grow? One stitch at a time, making X's in a row. And then she's got some tomatoes on the vine and her little dog and her gardening, and then some of her stitching at the top. And so this was done in just a tray, painted it and distressed it. I wanted it to look old. You wouldn't have to distress it if you didn't want to. And mounted a piece of blue fabric to kind of pull her skirt color and lettering out. And then did another mount on top with just the stitching, added the red cord, had an old spool I put down here in the corner. Then at the top, I just made a fluffy bow, put a tiny tomato pincushion with an old button on top, and it's a finish. So this is gonna go up here in my sewing room. And I just think it's a fun, quick stitch. It doesn't take long to stitch it, and it's a fun finish. So everybody that's attending the retreat will get this pattern fully kitted. You'll get the wooden tray, and one of the tutorials will be on painting, sanding, and distressing. So I've had lots and lots of people message me before, how do you add your dark wax, or how do you distress? And so I thought now would be a great time just to share that. So during the Zoom retreat, we'll actually do this together. So you'll see how I go about painting, distressing, and waxing. So we'll do that together during the Zoom. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. Fun finish, and perfect for a sewing room if you've got it. Now I'm going to show you, I've got lots of tomatoes, but I picked out 4 of my favorite ones. So I'm going to show you 4 of my favorite sewing tomatoes. This is just an old velvet one. Nothing fancy about it, but I like the pink color. This one I thought was kind of different. It came in this little wooden base, and it's just kind of stuffed down in there. So I thought it was kind of neat. It looks old. I don't know how old it is, but it looks like an old one. Then I have this one. It looks very worn and old. It has the little strawberry. I'm not sure, just a piece of fabric on that, I guess. It has a little strawberry on it. And then this is a newer one. I got this from Shelly Nichols in Florida. She came to retreat and brought this, and I just love it. It's got the old button on top. So those are 4 that I love in my sewing room. I thought I'd show you just a couple of them. And I want to tell you, of course, you know, those of you that have been watching me for a while know I love history, and I'm curious all the time. So I had to Google and research and see, where did the idea for sewing tomatoes ever come from? And so it said the first reference to some type of a tomato pincushion dates back all the way to the 15th century. That's a long time ago. That was longer than what I really thought it would be. But they were very popular during the Victorian era. And they said not just the tomato pincushions, but all pincushions. During that time period, it was very popular to have a parlor. So when you received guests or visitors at your house, you would sit in the parlor, and the woman of the house liked to kind of show off her pincushion collection. So she might have little silver holders that had a little small pincushion in it. She might have pincushions that looked like a dog. And I did find one for my friend Mary Susan one time I was antiquing. It was a little poodle, and she has poodles. And it had a little built-in pincushion. I've seen little shoes of all types that have little pincushions in them. So the lady of the house would have all these pincushions sitting out kind of for her guests to admire, I guess, when they came over to visit. But usually there would always be at least one tomato pincushion. Then it said that, like, when someone moved into a new home, one of the first things they would do is put a tomato on their fireplace mantle. And it said, you know, tomatoes aren't in season all year long. And so because they didn't have easy access to a ripe tomato to put on their fireplace mantle, they would oftentimes take red fabric and make their own tomato. Then they didn't have to worry. They could set it there and it stayed out the whole time. And the reason for that, they felt that the tomato would bring prosperity to the people who owned the home, and it would ward off any evil spirits. And I just thought that was interesting. I don't know what it is about a tomato, and it nothing that I found would say why they felt a tomato would ward off evil spirits. I've always heard garlic and vampires, and you know we're getting close to Halloween. But who knows? I guess you could hang a tomato around your neck and be just as good as garlic. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. I had never heard that. And then it says that most of the time, these pincushions were filled with just like sawdust, something that would have been readily available. And especially, I would imagine, if they had just built this home, they would have sawdust available that they could use to stuff this pincushion. But also it said wool roving. If they stuffed it with wool roving, that prevented the needles from rusting. And so I could see where that would be very handy. And then the little strawberry, like on this one that I have. Not all of them have a little strawberry, but this one does. And usually they would fill that with emery, and that just sharpens your needle and keeps it nice and sharp. So I just thought some of those little fun facts were very interesting. If any of you know why they chose the tomato to ward off evil spirits, let me know, because I'm still curious about that. I'm going to keep looking. I looked and looked and didn't see anything, but I'm still going to hunt for it. And I'll let you know if I find anything. But if any of you know the answer, please let me know. I think that's all that I have today. I have a couple whips, but I really don't have enough work done on them to show you. They're in my bag. I'm taking them to Shepherd's Bush. So I'm hoping the next time I come to see you on video, I'll have enough finished that I can share that with you. One of them is from a sweet little sampler that I found at a flea market. It was on a bottom shelf, halfway covered up with some old linens, and I just saw a little corner of it sticking out, and I thought, I think that's a red sampler. And sure enough, it was. There's no name, there's no date. It's very old, I can tell that, but it's kind of a mystery. So just my little mystery red sampler. So I've got it charted, and I'm working on it. Then I am taking my Bristol. I finally got my Bristol charted, which was a major accomplishment, and I've started stitching. And I have to kind of tell you funny, I felt very proud of myself the other day. I finished charting it one evening, and I was tired, but I was like, I have to put at least a couple stitches in. I'm so excited to see this start. And I had purchased some 46 count linen when I was at the attic in August, and I never stitched on it before. So I was really excited to try it, and I thought, that's still not what my young girl used. She used 61 count is what I calculated the stitch count to be on my Bristol, but I knew there's no way I was going to attempt a 61 count fabric. And I thought 46 will be great. So I stitched 2 letters, and I looked at them, and you know how you've done something, you feel so proud of yourself. And I thought, wow, I really did it. I stitched on 46 count. And I was just admiring how little they looked and was just feeling very prideful. And I took it in and laid it down next to the original Bristol. And oh my goodness, my 2 letters look like giants when I compared them to the young girl's A and B that she had stitched. And so the verse that popped in my head immediately was pride cometh before fall. And it did. I thought, Jennifer, you should not have been prideful thinking you really stitched something tiny, because when I looked at that little girl's stitches and looked at mine, I was kind of put in my place very quickly. But I did have a lot of fun. I love stitching on 28 count. I love stitching on 8. I love stitching on a wide variety of linens. But this was fun for a first time to try it. And it's really been better than and easier than I thought it would. So as long as I don't compare it to the original Bristol, I'll be okay. But anyway, I hope you guys have an awesome day, an awesome rest of the week. And do follow along for the Traveling Violets. I'll try and find some fun places to hide them. And when I get back, hopefully I'll have 2 goodie baskets to give away. One from everybody that makes a comment on my video, and one for everybody that comments on the Traveling Violets. So that'd be something fun to look forward to. Anyway, take care, and thank you for subscribing. If you haven't, go down and do that, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye.